Number 1. The Invisible Master. What is the subconscious? As the world outside grows quiet and the noise of the day begins to fade, a different kind of world awakens within you. It is a vast, silent, and immensely powerful realm that operates just beneath the surface of your awareness, an inner universe that has been shaping every moment of your life without your conscious permission. This is the domain of your subconscious mind. It is the invisible master in your own house, the silent architect of your destiny, the unseen hand that guides your habits, governs your deepest emotions, and ultimately constructs the very reality you perceive around you. For every thought you consciously choose, your subconscious has already made 1,000 decisions on your behalf. It is the great, powerful mystery within, and tonight we begin a journey to meet it. This is not an exploration of a foreign land, but a homecoming to the most essential part of yourself. So, what is this invisible master? In the simplest terms, the subconscious is the totality of your mind that is not in your immediate focused awareness. While your conscious mind is hearing these words, analyzing their meaning, and making logical connections, your subconscious is effortlessly managing a vast and complex empire of functions. It is the silent regulator of your heartbeat, the steady rhythm of your breathing, the precise calibration of your body temperature. All processes vital to your existence, all running on perfect autopilot. But its power extends far beyond the physical. It is the grand subterranean library of your soul, a cavernous archive where every single experience you have ever had is stored with perfect fidelity. Every joy, every sorrow, every lesson learned, every face you have ever seen is meticulously filed away, not as a dead record, but as living data that informs your present. It is the seat of your raw emotions, the source of your sudden intuitions, and the deep and unshakable foundation of your beliefs about yourself, about others, and about the nature of the world. Think of your subconscious as the master programmer of your life's computer, a genius coder who wrote the operating system you are running right now. When you first learn a complex skill like driving a car, your conscious mind is at the wheel, hyper-focused and often overwhelmed by the sheer number of tasks. But through repetition, the skill is downloaded and handed over to the subconscious. It then becomes an automatic program, executed flawlessly while your conscious mind is free to listen to music or contemplate the day ahead. The same process of programming applies to your entire being. Your automatic reaction to a challenge, the level of confidence you feel walking into a room, your fundamental beliefs about your own worthiness and potential. All these are deeply ingrained programs, running silently and powerfully in the background, written long ago by experience, repetition, and emotion. The true power of this journey, the secret key we are about to explore, lies in a profound and liberating realization. While many of these programs were written when you were too young to understand, you now possess the ability to become the master programmer. You can learn to access this deep level of your mind, to gently review the old outdated code, and to patiently and lovingly begin to write new scripts. Scripts that align with the person you consciously choose to be. This is the essence of true transformation. It is not about a battle of willpower against your own habits, but a collaboration with the deepest part of yourself. As we prepare to delve into this fascinating architecture, simply allow this idea to settle. There is a vast, powerful, and deeply intelligent part of you working behind the scenes, and tonight you are beginning to meet it not as a servant, but as a co-creator of your reality.
Number 2. The iceberg of the mind. Conscious versus subconscious. To truly grasp the scale and power of the subconscious mind, we must turn to one of the most enduring and accurate metaphors in psychology, the iceberg. Imagine an immense iceberg floating in a dark, silent ocean. The small portion visible above the water, perhaps only 10% of its total mass, represents your conscious mind. This is the part of you that you are aware of right now. It is your analytical mind, your rational thinking, your willpower, and your short-term memory. It is the part of you that sets goals, makes plans, and processes the immediate data from your 5 senses. It is the captain on the bridge of the ship, looking out at the horizon, making deliberate decisions. It is powerful in its own right, capable of logic and reason, but it is also limited. Its processing power is finite, and it can only focus on a few things at once. It is the tip of the iceberg, the visible, known part of yourself. Now, consider what lies beneath the surface. The vast, unseen 90% of the iceberg, submerged in the deep, dark waters, represents your subconscious mind. Its sheer mass and power dwarf the conscious mind. This is the realm of your long-term memory, where every experience, every learned skill, and every emotional imprint is stored. It is the home of your beliefs, the core assumptions about life, love, and your own identity that were programmed long ago. It is the seat of your emotions, your intuition, your instincts, and your automatic bodily functions. While the conscious mind is the captain giving orders, the subconscious is the massive, powerful engine room, the automated navigation systems, and the unseen currents of the ocean itself, all working at once to guide the ship's true course. The captain may think they are in complete control, but the direction of the iceberg is ultimately determined by the immense hidden mass beneath the waves. This division explains one of the most common human struggles, the conflict between willpower and habit. Your conscious mind, the tip of the iceberg, might decide to make a change. You might declare, "I will start exercising every day," or "I will no longer be afraid of public speaking." This is a conscious, logical goal. However, if the subconscious mind, the immense mass below, holds a deeply ingrained program that says exercise is painful and pointless, or being the center of attention is dangerous, a conflict arises. The sheer force of the subconscious programming will almost always overpower the conscious mind's willpower. This is why simply trying harder often fails. You are not fighting a lack of discipline, you are fighting the momentum of a deeply embedded automatic program that is vastly more powerful than your conscious intention. Understanding this relationship is the first key to real transformation. The goal is not to fight the subconscious, but to align the conscious mind with it. It is about learning to communicate with that powerful, hidden part of yourself, to send new instructions to the engine room. as these states of deep relaxation, meditation, and sleep are the moments when the barrier between the conscious and subconscious becomes thin and permeable. They are the times when the captain can descend from the bridge and speak directly to the clue in the engine room, providing new maps and new destinations. As you relax deeper now, visualize this iceberg. Acknowledge the small, focused tip that is your conscious awareness, but also feel the immense, powerful, and stable mass of the great mass below the surface. This is your subconscious mind. It is not your enemy, it is your most powerful potential ally.
Number 3. Childhood Programming and the 7-Year Window. To understand the architecture of your subconscious, we must travel back in time, to the very beginning of your life. The first 7 years of your existence were the most critical period for the programming of your subconscious mind. During this time, your brain was operating predominantly in lower frequency brainwave states, primarily delta and theta. These are the same brainwave states associated with deep relaxation, hypnosis, and the state just before sleep. In essence, from birth until the age of 7, you are in a constant open state of hypnosis. You are not yet equipped with a strong critical conscious mind to filter, analyze, or reject incoming information. You're a pure recording device, absorbing everything from your environment directly into your subconscious database. The primary sources of this programming were your parents, your family, your caregivers, and your immediate social environment. You learned about the world not through intellectual study, but through observation and absorption. You observed how your parents interacted with each other, how they handled stress, how they expressed love, and how they talked about money, work, and relationships. These observations were not just noted, they were downloaded as fundamental truths about how the world works. If you saw love expressed with warmth and consistency, your subconscious was programmed to believe that love is safe. If you witnessed constant conflict and anxiety around finances, your subconscious was programmed with a belief that money is a source of stress and scarcity. These programs became your foundational beliefs, the bedrock of your personal reality. Furthermore, the words spoken to you and about you during this period became the cornerstones of your self-identity. A child who is repeatedly told, "You are so smart," or "You are so creative," downloads this as a core aspect of their identity. Their subconscious mind accepts it as fact and begins to create a reality that matches this belief, seeking out evidence to confirm it. Conversely, a child who hears messages of criticism or who is told they are clumsy, not good enough, or a burden, absorbs these statements with equal, unfiltered acceptance. These negative suggestions become powerful, self-limiting programs that can run for an entire lifetime, operating silently in the background, sabotaging efforts and perpetuating a sense of inadequacy long after the original source of the programming is forgotten. This is why so many of our adult patterns, our fears, and our insecurities can feel so irrational and so deeply ingrained. They are not the product of our adult logical minds. They are the echoes of the programming that occurred before our critical, analytical faculties were fully formed. The good news and the central purpose of our journey is that this programming is not permanent. It is merely software,
and software can be updated. By understanding that these foundational beliefs are not inherent truths about who you are, but simply recorded data from the past, you can begin to reclaim your power as the programmer. As you drift into a state of relaxation, you are returning to that receptive, theta-dominant brainwave state of your childhood. You are opening a window, a powerful opportunity to access that original code and begin to install new, more empowering beliefs that you consciously choose for yourself.
Number 4. The repetition loop. Habits, beliefs, and identity. Now that we understand how our initial subconscious programming was installed, we must explore the mechanism that keeps it running, the powerful engine that strengthens and reinforces it every single day. This mechanism is the repetition loop. Your subconscious mind learns, operates, and maintains its programs through the simple but profound power of repetition. Every time you repeat a thought, an action, or an emotional response, you are strengthening the neural pathways in your brain associated with that pattern. You are, in essence, telling your subconscious, "This is important. This is who I am. Keep doing this." This loop is the foundation of all our habits, both good and bad, and it is the force that solidifies our very sense of identity. Consider the formation of a simple habit, like brushing your teeth every morning. Initially, it required conscious effort, but after repeating the action day after day, it became automatic. The neural pathway became a well-worn superhighway. Now, you likely do it without any conscious thought at all. This same principle applies to our internal habits, our thought patterns. If you repeatedly think the thought, "I'm not good enough," you are not just having a fleeting negative idea. You are actively practicing a belief. You are engaging in a mental rehearsal that strengthens the not good enough neural pathway, making it easier and more automatic for that thought to arise in the future. The more you repeat it, the more it becomes a core belief, a fundamental truth in your subconscious operating system. This is where the loop becomes truly powerful, because our beliefs, forged through repetition, directly shape our identity. We do not just have beliefs, we become our beliefs. The person who repeatedly thinks, "I am a confident person," will naturally start to act in more confident ways. Their posture will change, their voice will become stronger, their actions will be more decisive. These actions then provide evidence to the subconscious that the belief is true, which in turn strengthens the belief, creating a powerful positive feedback loop. This is the secret of identity. Your identity is not a fixed, static thing you were born with. It is simply the collection of your most practiced and repeated beliefs about yourself. You are not inherently shy, or outgoing, or unlucky. You have simply practiced the thoughts and behaviors associated with those labels so often that they have become your automatic, subconscious reality. This repetition loop can feel like a prison, locking us into patterns we consciously wish to escape. However, understanding its mechanism also reveals the key to our liberation. If repetition created the programs that are currently running, then new repetitions can create new programs. This is the foundation of reprogramming your mind. It is not about a single dramatic moment of change,
but about the gentle, patient, and consistent repetition of a new thought, a new belief, a new feeling, and a new way of being. By consciously choosing to introduce a new empowering thought and practice it daily, especially in the receptive state of sleep, you begin to carve a new neural pathway. At first, it is a tiny footpath in the jungle of your mind. But with each repetition, it becomes wider, smoother, and easier to travel, until it eventually becomes the new superhighway, the new automatic program. You are in every moment practicing who you are becoming.
Number 5. The Gatekeeper. The role of the critical factor. As we delve deeper into the architecture of the mind, we encounter a crucial component that acts as a guard, a filter between our two worlds. This is the critical factor, or sometimes called the critical faculty, of the conscious mind. You can think of it as a vigilant gatekeeper standing at the doorway to your subconscious. Its primary job is to analyze incoming information, to compare it with the existing beliefs and programs already stored in the subconscious, and to either accept or reject it. This gatekeeper is your logical, analytical, and reasoning mind. It is the part of you that questions, doubts, and protects the integrity of your current belief system. During your normal waking hours, this gatekeeper is fully active and alert. If someone tells you something that contradicts a deeply held belief, your critical factor will immediately step in. For example, if you have a core subconscious belief that you are not good at mathematics, and a friend says you are a natural at numbers, your critical factor will likely reject that statement. It will search your mental database for all the evidence that supports your old belief, past failures, difficult classes, negative comments, and present it to your conscious mind. It will say, "That's not true. Remember this? Remember that?" This protective mechanism is useful. It prevents us from being gullible and accepting every suggestion we hear. It maintains the stability of our perceived reality. However, this same protective gatekeeper is also the primary obstacle to conscious, deliberate change. When you try to install a new positive belief using willpower alone, you are essentially trying to force it past this vigilant guard. If you consciously repeat, "I am wealthy and abundant," while your subconscious is programmed with beliefs of scarcity and lack, the critical factor will sound the alarm. It will see the new affirmation as a threat to the existing system, a piece of data that does not compute. It will reject it, often with internal ridicule or doubt, making it incredibly difficult for the new suggestion to take roots in the fertile soil of the subconscious mind. This is why affirmations can sometimes feel like alive, and why they often fail when practiced only with the conscious mind fully engaged. The secret to reprogramming, therefore, is not to fight the gatekeeper, but to gently and respectfully bypass it. And the key to bypassing the critical factor lies in changing your brain wave state. The critical factor is most active in the high-frequency beta brainwave state of our normal, busy, waking life.
As you relax, as you meditate, and most importantly, as you begin to drift off to sleep, your brain waves naturally slow down to alpha and then to theta. In these slower states, the critical factor, the vigilant gatekeeper, begins to relax its guard. It becomes drowsy, less analytical, and more open. The doorway to the subconscious swings open. This is the golden opportunity, the window of time when new, positive, and empowering suggestions can be gently delivered directly to the subconscious mind without being rejected by the analytical filter. This is why the state of sleep is not just rest, it is the most powerful and opportune time for transformation.
Number 6. The emotional imprint. How feelings write your code. We have established that the subconscious mind is programmed through repetition, and that this programming is often set in our early years. Now we must add a crucial and powerful ingredient to this process: emotion. The subconscious mind does not speak the language of pure logic. It speaks the language of feeling. Emotion is the ink with which our most powerful subconscious programs are written. An experience that is accompanied by a strong emotion, whether it is intense joy, profound fear, deep love, or sharp shame, is imprinted into our subconscious with far greater speed and permanence than a neutral, emotionless event. This emotional imprinting, or what is sometimes called a significant emotional event, can create a powerful belief or program in a single moment. Think about how this works. You can repeat a neutral fact 100 times to memorize it for a test, and it may still be difficult to recall. But you can likely remember with perfect, vivid clarity a moment of intense embarrassment or a moment of pure, unadulterated joy from many years ago. You don't just remember the facts of the event, you can almost re-experience the feeling in your body. That is because the strong emotion acted like a chemical fixative, searing the memory and its associated meaning deep into your neural architecture. This is how phobias are often formed. A single intensely frightening experience with a spider or in a confined place can create a powerful subconscious program that equates that stimulus with mortal danger, a program that can last a lifetime unless it is consciously addressed. This emotional imprinting is not limited to negative experiences. Moments of great triumph, of receiving unconditional love, or of profound spiritual awe can also create foundational beliefs about our own capabilities and our place in the world. The feeling of success after overcoming a great challenge can write a new code that says, I am resilient, I am capable. The feeling of being deeply and truly loved can install a core belief of worthiness that can weather any storm. The subconscious mind is always listening to the language of your feelings, using them as a guide to determine what is important, what is true, and what needs to be stored for future reference. This understanding is critical for our work of reprogramming. It tells us that simply repeating affirmations in a flat, monotone, and emotionless state will have a limited effect. To truly communicate with the subconscious and write new, powerful code, we must learn to feel the reality of our desired state now. When you visualize a goal, it is not the mental picture alone that creates the change. It is the feeling of joy, of gratitude, of relief, and of accomplishment that you generate in your body while holding that picture. This is how you speak the subconscious mind's native language. You must give it not just a new thought, but a new emotional signature. As you relax into sleep tonight, you are entering a state where your emotional and imaginative faculties become more vivid and accessible. This is the perfect time to not just think about your desired reality, but to immerse yourself in the feeling of it, allowing that positive emotional imprint to gently and powerfully rewrite your inner code.
Number 7. The inner critic, where it comes from and how to dismantle it. As we explore the architecture of the subconscious mind, we inevitably encounter one of its most persistent and often painful residents, the inner critic. This is the voice in our head that doubts, judges, and criticizes us. It's the voice that whispers, "You're not good enough. You're going to fail. Who do you think you are?" Or, "You don't deserve this." For many, this inner critic is a constant companion, a source of anxiety, and a powerful saboteur of our conscious goals and aspirations. To effectively reprogram our subconscious mind, we must first understand the origin and the function of this internal adversary, and then learn how to gently dismantle its power. The inner critic is not an inherent part of who you are. It is a constructed program, an internalized voice that was built piece by piece during your childhood. It is the echo of critical parents, judgmental teachers, or societal messages that you absorbed during your formative years when your subconscious was wide open. A child's primary need is for safety and belonging. To ensure this, they learn to adapt their behavior to gain approval and avoid disapproval from their caregivers. The inner critic was born as a protective mechanism. It was an attempt to anticipate and prevent external criticism by criticizing yourself first. It reasoned, "If I can find my own flaws before they do, maybe I can fix them. Maybe then I will be safe. Maybe then I will be loved." It was, in its origins, an act of self-preservation. The problem is that this protective program, once installed, continues to run on autopilot long into adulthood, long after it has outlived its usefulness. The world has changed, you have grown, but the inner critic is still operating on its old, outdated software. It doesn't realize that you are now a capable adult who no longer needs to fear the disapproval of those early authority figures. It continues to scan for flaws, to highlight potential failures, and to keep you safe by keeping you small. It resists change, it fears risk, and it attracts any new, expansive idea about yourself because, from its limited perspective, new things are dangerous. It is not malicious, it is simply a misguided and obsolete protective mechanism. Dismantling the inner critic is not about fighting it or trying to silence it with force. This often only makes it stronger. The key is to approach it with awareness, compassion, and a new perspective. The first step is to simply notice it. When you hear that critical voice, learn to recognize it not as the truth, but as the critic program running. Create a separation between your conscious observing self and the voice of the program. The second step is to acknowledge its original protective intention.
You can even silently thank it for trying to keep you safe, but firmly and lovingly let it know that its services are no longer required. You, the adult, are now in charge. The final step, which we will practice deeply, is to replace its voice with a new one. By consistently and repetitively introducing a new, compassionate and empowering inner voice, especially during the receptive state of sleep, you begin to overwrite the old program. You are not destroying the critic. You are simply retiring it and promoting a new, wiser, and more loving inner guide to take its place.
Number 8. Subconscious versus unconscious. What's the difference? As we continue our exploration of the mind's hidden architecture, it is important to clarify our terms. You will often hear the words subconscious and unconscious used interchangeably, and while they both refer to aspects of the mind that operate outside of our immediate awareness, there are subtle and important distinctions, particularly depending on the school of psychological thought we are referencing. Understanding this difference can deepen our appreciation for the complexity of our inner world. For our purposes, we will adopt a functional and practical distinction that is useful for the work of personal transformation. The term subconscious, as we have been using it, can be thought of as the layer of mind just beneath our conscious awareness. It is accessible. It is the vast storage facility for all our memories, learned behaviors, and beliefs that are not currently in our focus, but can be brought to conscious awareness with a little effort. When you recall a memory from your childhood, or when a particular skill, like riding a bike, becomes automatic, you are accessing the subconscious. The subconscious is like the main hard drive of your computer, storing all the programs and data you use regularly. It is programmable and highly responsive to suggestions, especially through repetition and emotion. Most modern self-help, hypnosis, and personal development work focuses on interacting with and reprogramming this layer of mind. The term unconscious, particularly in the tradition of Freudian psychoanalysis, refers to a much deeper, more primitive, and less accessible part of the psyche. For Freud, the unconscious was a reservoir of repressed feelings, hidden memories, primal drives, and unresolved conflicts, often of a traumatic or socially unacceptable nature. He believed that this material was actively and powerfully kept out of our conscious awareness by defense mechanisms because it would be too overwhelming or painful to confront directly. Accessing the Freudian unconscious was seen as a difficult and lengthy process, typically requiring the guidance of a psychoanalyst to interpret dreams, slips of the tongue, and other clues. It was seen less as a programmable database and more as a volatile, hidden basement of the mind. Carl Jung expanded this concept even further with his idea of the collective unconscious, which we have touched upon before. This is the deepest layer of all, a universal and inherited psychic foundation shared by all of humanity. So we can visualize a kind of layering. On top, the small focused light of the conscious mind. Just below it, the vast and accessible subconscious mind, our main hard drive. Deeper still, the Freudian unconscious, the hidden basement of our personal repressions. And at the very bottom, the immense shared ocean of the collective unconscious.
For our journey of reprogramming and unlocking potential, our primary focus will be on the subconscious mind. This is the layer where our actionable habits, our daily emotional responses, and our core beliefs about ourselves reside. It is the layer that is most directly and effectively influenced by the techniques of affirmation, visualization, and sleep learning that we'll be exploring. By working with the malleable and responsive architecture of the subconscious mind, we can create profound and lasting change in our lives without necessarily needing to delve into the more complex and deeply protected realms of the Freudian unconscious.
Number 9. Memory, dreams, and the archive of your identity. We have referred to the subconscious as a vast library or a computer hard drive, and this metaphor is perhaps most accurate when we consider the nature of memory. Your subconscious mind is the ultimate archive of your identity. It holds every single event, sensation, and emotion you have ever experienced from your earliest moments to this present one. This is not a passive, dusty archive. It is a living, dynamic system that actively uses its stored data to shape your perception of the present and your expectations for the future. Your sense of who you are, your very identity, is not a solid, static thing. It is a story, a narrative, constructed from the selected memories that your subconscious chooses to highlight. Consider the fallibility of conscious memory. We often believe our memories are accurate, video-like recordings of past events. However, neuroscience has shown that this is not the case. Every time we recall a memory, we are not just playing it back, we are actively reconstructing it. In this process of reconstruction, the memory can be subtly altered, influenced by our current mood, our beliefs, and the context in which we are remembering. This is why two people can have vastly different recollections of the same event. Their subconscious minds have filtered and reconstructed the memory according to their own unique programming. Your subconscious is the curator of your personal museum, and it chooses which exhibits to put on display and how to label them. This is where dreams come into play. During the night, particularly during the REM sleep stage, your brain is incredibly active, working to process and consolidate the memories of the day. It is a period of intense mental filing and reorganization. Dreams are, in one sense, the byproduct of this process. They are the symbolic language the subconscious uses as it sorts through the data. It connects new experiences with old memories. It processes unresolved emotions, and it rehearses potential future scenarios, all through the strange, metaphorical, and often bizarre narratives of our dreams. A dream about being unprepared for an exam might not be about a literal test, but a symbolic representation of a feeling of inadequacy you experienced during the day, which the subconscious is now trying to process and file away. By understanding memory and dreams as functions of this subconscious archive, we gain a powerful insight. Our identity is a story written in the ink of memory, and our dreams are the nightly editing sessions. If we want to change our identity, we must learn to influence the story.
The techniques we will explore are designed to do just that. Through visualization and mental rehearsal, we can create powerful, emotionally charged future memories, memories of a success or a state of being that has not yet happened in physical reality, but that feels completely real to the subconscious. By repeatedly imprinting these new memories, we begin to change the archive itself. We are providing new data, new evidence for the subconscious curator to work with. Over time, as these new empowering memories become more prominent, the subconscious will begin to construct a new story, a new narrative of who you are. And that new narrative will become your new identity.
Number 10. The role of trauma in subconscious programming. As we conclude our initial exploration into the foundations of the subconscious mind, it is essential to address one of its most powerful and often challenging programming mechanisms: the role of trauma. Trauma, in this context, does not only refer to large life-threatening events. A psychological or emotional trauma can be any experience that is too overwhelming for the conscious mind to fully process at the time it occurs. It is an event that shatters our sense of safety, our understanding of the world, or our core beliefs about ourselves. When such an event happens, the subconscious mind, in its role of protector, steps in and creates powerful, deeply ingrained programs designed to prevent such pain from ever happening again. A traumatic event is a supercharged form of emotional imprinting. The intense fear, grief, or shame associated with the experience sears the event and its accompanying beliefs deep into our subconscious architecture. For example, a child who experiences a sudden painful rejection from a peer group may instantly form a core subconscious belief that says, "I am not worthy of belonging," or "it is not safe to be vulnerable." An adult who goes through a difficult business failure might install a program that equates taking risks with devastating loss. These programs are not logical conclusions. They are powerful, reflexive, and protective responses designed for survival. Once these trauma-based programs are installed, they operate like a hyper-vigilant security system. The subconscious will constantly scan the environment for any sight, sound, or situation that even remotely resembles the original traumatic event. When it detects a potential match, it triggers an immediate, automatic, and often overwhelming emotional and physiological response, the fight, flight, or freeze response. This is why a person with a fear of public speaking might experience a racing heart and shortness of breath just by thinking about giving a presentation. Their subconscious has identified the situation as a threat based on a past experience of humiliation, and it is flooding the body with chemicals to prepare for danger, even when no real danger exists. These reactions can feel completely irrational to the conscious mind, but they are perfectly logical from the perspective of the subconscious, which is simply running its protective danger avoidance software. It is crucial to approach this aspect of our subconscious with immense compassion and patience. These programs were created to protect you. They are not your enemy.
However, like an overzealous security guard, they can often prevent you from living a full and expansive life. The process of reprogramming these traumatic imprints is not about reliving the pain, but about gently updating the subconscious with new, safe information. In the deeply relaxed state of sleep, we can begin to create new, peaceful associations. We can use visualization to imagine ourselves navigating similar situations with calm, confidence, and safety. We are not erasing the past, but we are teaching the subconscious that the past is over, that the threat is no longer present, and that it is now safe to respond in a new, more resourceful way. This gentle re-education allows the old protective programs to finally stand down, creating space for healing and growth.
Number 11. Brainwaves and the gateway to suggestion. As we transition from understanding the what of the subconscious to the how of its transformation, we must first explore the very rhythm of our minds, our brainwaves. Your brain is an electrochemical organ, constantly producing tiny electrical impulses that can be measured by an electroencephalogram, or EEG. These electrical patterns are not random. They occur in distinct frequencies, or waves, that correspond to different states of consciousness. Understanding these brainwave states is like understanding the different operating modes of a computer. Each mode has a unique function and a different level of receptivity to new information. The key to accessing and influencing the subconscious lies in recognizing and utilizing the natural shifting of these brainwave frequencies, especially as we drift into sleep. Our normal waking state of consciousness, when we are alert, focused, and engaged in problem-solving or active conversation, is dominated by beta brainwaves. These are fast-frequency waves, typically ranging from 13 to 30 Hz. In this state, your analytical mind, the critical factor we discussed earlier, is fully active. It is the state of doing, of thinking, of judging. It is a necessary state for navigating the complexities of the external world, but it is the least effective state for subconscious reprogramming, as the vigilant gatekeeper is on high alert, questioning and filtering all incoming data. As you begin to relax, to close your eyes, to meditate, or to simply let your mind drift, your brainwaves naturally begin to slow down, shifting into the alpha state. Alpha waves, which range from 8 to 13 Hz, are associated with a state of calm, relaxed awareness. You are still awake, but you are not actively focused on the outside world. This is the state of light meditation, of daydreaming, of being absorbed in a creative activity. In the alpha state, the critical factor begins to relax. The mind becomes more receptive, and the bridge between the conscious and subconscious starts to become accessible. This is the first gateway to suggestion. As you drift deeper into relaxation, on the very cusp of sleep, you enter the profoundly important theta brainwave state. Theta waves are even slower, ranging from 4 to 8 Hz. This is the state of deep meditation, of hypnosis, and it is the dominant state during late sleep and REM dreaming. It is also the brainwave state that was dominant during your childhood, from roughly age 2 to 7. In the theta state, the conscious mind is largely dormant, and the critical factor is almost completely offline. The doorway to the subconscious is wide open. This is the prime state for suggestion, for visualization, and for emotional imprinting. Information delivered to the mind in a theta state can bypass the analytical filter and be accepted directly by the subconscious as a new truth. Finally, the slowest brainwaves are delta, ranging from 0.5 to 4 Hz. This is the state of deep, dreamless sleep.
It is primarily associated with physical restoration, healing, and the body's regenerative processes. While direct suggestion is less effective in this state, it is the period where the subconscious works deeply to consolidate the programming received in the theta state. Understanding this natural nightly cascade from beta to alpha to theta and then to delta is crucial. It reveals that the process of falling asleep is not a shutdown, but a journey into a profound state of mental openness and receptivity. Each night, nature provides us with the perfect optimal window to access our own source code and become the architects of our own minds.
Number 12. The hypnagogic state, where magic happens. Nestled in the delicate, fleeting moments between wakefulness and sleep, there exists a unique and powerful state of consciousness known as the hypnagogic state. The term hypnagogia comes from the Greek words hupnos, meaning sleep, and agogeus, meaning guide or leader. It is quite literally the state that leads into sleep. This is the magical threshold where your brain is transitioning from the relaxed awareness of alpha waves into the deep, receptive dreaminess of theta waves. It is a time when the structured, logical world of your conscious mind begins to dissolve, and the fluid, symbolic, and highly suggestible world of your subconscious begins to emerge. This brief but potent window is where some of the most profound mental reprogramming can occur. The experience of the hypnagogic state is often characterized by a rich tapestry of sensory phenomena. You might experience vivid, dreamlike images flashing before your mind's eye, often in fragmented and surreal sequences. You might hear sounds, voices, or snippets of music that aren't actually present in your room. You might feel physical sensations, such as the feeling of floating, spinning, or the common hypnic jerk, that sudden jolt or feeling of falling that can snap you back to wakefulness. These experiences are not random. They are the signs that your conscious mind is relinquishing control. The logical part of your brain is powering down, and the more creative, associative, and symbolic parts are coming online. The gatekeeper, your critical factor, is falling asleep at its post. This is why the hypnagogic state has been revered by artists, inventors, and mystics throughout history as a powerful source of creativity and insight. The inventor Thomas Edison famously used this state to solve problems. He would sit in a chair holding steel balls in his hands, and as he drifted into the hypnagogic state, his hands would relax, dropping the balls onto a metal plate below and waking him up. He would then immediately write down the creative ideas and solutions that had surfaced in that twilight state of mind. He understood that this was the time when the rigid constraints of logic dissolved, allowing for novel and innovative connections to be made between seemingly unrelated ideas. For our purpose of subconscious reprogramming, the hypnagogic state is the golden opportunity. It is the moment when the subconscious is most open, most receptive, and least likely to be challenged by conscious doubt. The affirmations you gently repeat, the visualizations you hold in your mind as you fall to sleep, are delivered directly into this receptive state. Because the critical factor is dormant, the subconscious is more likely to accept these new suggestions as true, planting them like seeds in the fertile soil of your inner world. This is why the practice of setting a clear intention or holding a positive vision just as you are drifting off is so incredibly powerful. You are not just wishfully thinking, you are actively programming. You are harnessing a natural nightly biological process to become the deliberate architect of your beliefs. As you listen to these words now, and as you feel yourself beginning to drift, recognize this state.
It is not just sleepiness. It is the opening of a sacred gate. It is the moment where the magic of transformation truly begins.
Number 13. REM and memory integration. What you keep and what you lose. As we journey deeper into the landscape of sleep, we encounter a stage that is as active and vital as any part of our waking life. This is REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movement. It is during this stage that our most vivid, narrative, and emotionally charged dreams occur. But REM sleep is far more than just a cinema for the mind. It is a critical period of intense neurological activity, a nightly session of profound mental and emotional processing. It is when the brain gets to work sorting through the vast amounts of information it has absorbed during the day, deciding what is important enough to keep and what can be discarded. This process is known as memory consolidation, and it is fundamental to learning, emotional regulation, and the very construction of our identity. Throughout your waking day, your brain creates countless short-term memories. Every conversation, every sight, every piece of information you read is temporarily stored in a region of the brain called the hippocampus. The hippocampus acts like a temporary holding area, a kind of mental clipboard. It is not designed for long-term storage. During the deep stages of sleep, and particularly during REM sleep, the brain undertakes the crucial task of transferring important information from this temporary clipboard into the neocortex for long-term storage. It's a highly sophisticated filing process. The brain evaluates the experiences of the day, tagging them based on their emotional significance and their relevance to existing knowledge. This is where the process becomes truly fascinating. The brain doesn't just store memories, it integrates them. It weaves new information into the existing tapestry of your knowledge and beliefs. It seeks to find patterns, to make connections, and to update your mental model of the world. During REM sleep, the brain also works to process the emotional charge of the day's events. It strips away the intense stress hormones associated with difficult or painful memories, allowing you to retain the lesson of the experience without having to hold on to the raw, debilitating emotion. This is why, over time, a painful memory can lose its sting, becoming just a part of your story rather than an open wound. REM sleep is, in essence, a form of overnight therapy, helping you to regulate your emotions and maintain psychological balance. Understanding this process of memory integration reveals another powerful key to subconscious reprogramming. The ideas, feelings, and visualizations you practice before sleep and in the hypnagogic state are fresh, emotionally charged data points for your brain to work with. You are in effect flagging a new memory. A memory of your desired self or your desired reality as highly important. As you enter REM sleep, your brain will take this new, intentional memory and begin the process of integrating it into your long-term neural architecture. It will start to connect it with your existing beliefs and experiences, weaving it into the very fabric of who you are. With consistent repetition night after night, this new, consciously chosen memory becomes as real and as influential to your subconscious as any memory from your waking life.
you are actively participating in the nightly process of deciding what to keep and what to let go of, choosing to keep the vision of your future and let go of the limitations of your past.
Number 14. Sleep cycles and mental rewriting. Our nightly journey through consciousness is not a single monolithic state, but a structured and elegant dance through different stages of sleep, known as sleep cycles. Understanding the rhythm and purpose of these cycles can further illuminate how and why sleep is such a powerful period for mental rewriting. A complete sleep cycle typically lasts about 90 to 110 minutes, and we go through several of these cycles each night. Each cycle is composed of different stages, moving from light sleep to deep sleep, and then into REM sleep before the cycle begins again. Each stage has a distinct brainwave pattern and serves a unique and vital function for our physical and mental well-being. A typical night begins with you entering stage 1, a very light sleep where you are easily awakened. Your brainwaves slow from alpha to theta. This is followed by stage 2, a slightly deeper sleep where your heart rate and body temperature drop. This stage is characterized by unique brainwave patterns called sleep spindles and K complexes, which are thought to be involved in memory consolidation. After stage 2, you descend into stage 3, also known as deep sleep or slow wave sleep. This is when your brain produces the slowest delta waves. Deep sleep is primarily for physical restoration. During this time, your body repairs tissues, builds bone and muscle, and strengthens the immune system. It is the most restorative stage for your physical body. After a period of deep sleep, the cycle reverses, moving back up through stage 2 and then into the remarkable stage of REM sleep. As we have discussed, this is the stage of vivid dreaming and intense mental activity. Your brainwaves in REM sleep look surprisingly similar to your waking brainwaves, which is why it is sometimes called paradoxical sleep. Your body is deeply relaxed and largely paralyzed, but your mind is incredibly active, processing emotions and consolidating memories. It's a beautiful, natural, and highly efficient system. By aligning our practice with this rhythm, setting our intentions at the beginning of the night, we allow the natural architecture of our sleep cycles to do the heavy lifting of mental rewriting for us, transforming our minds while our bodies rest and restore.
Number 15. Nighttime as the mind's reset button. In our fast-paced, information-saturated world, our conscious minds are under constant bombardment. From the moment we wake up, we are processing data, making decisions, navigating social interactions, and dealing with a continuous stream of stimuli. By the end of the day, our minds can feel cluttered, fatigued, and overwhelmed. This mental noise can make it difficult to think clearly, to feel emotionally balanced, or to connect with our deeper sense of purpose. Sleep, in this context, is not merely a period of inactivity. It is a profound and necessary biological process that acts as the mind's nightly reset button. It is a sacred time when we are given the opportunity to clear the slate, to process the day's events, and to return to a state of mental and emotional equilibrium. This reset process occurs on several levels. On a physiological level,
Sleep helps to clear out metabolic waste products that accumulate in the brain during waking hours. One of these, beta amyloid, is the same protein that forms plaques in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. The brain's glymphatic system, a kind of waste clearance network, is most active during deep sleep, literally washing the brain clean and preparing it for the next day. Its physical cleansing is essential for maintaining cognitive function, clarity, and long-term brain health. A cluttered physical brain leads to a cluttered conscious experience. On a psychological level, sleep provides a crucial opportunity to process and regulate the emotions of the day. As we've explored, REM sleep plays a vital role in stripping the emotional charge from memories. Without this nightly emotional reset, our stress, anxiety, and frustrations would accumulate day after day, leading to chronic emotional dysregulation. Sleep allows us to detach from the immediate emotional intensity of our experiences, to gain perspective, and to wake up with a renewed sense of emotional resilience. It's the mind's way of ensuring that the emotional baggage of yesterday does not become the crippling burden of tomorrow. This concept of a nightly reset is profoundly empowering for our work of subconscious reprogramming. When you think of sleep as a factory reset for your mind, you realize that you have a daily opportunity to influence the default settings for the next day. The thoughts, feelings, and intentions you hold as you fall asleep are like the final instructions you give to the system before it reboots. If you go to sleep replaying the worries and frustrations of the day, you are essentially programming your mind to reboot with those same anxious and negative settings. However, if you consciously choose to use this pre-sleep window to focus on gratitude, to visualize your desired future, or to repeat calming and empowering affirmations, you are programming your mind to reset to a new, more positive default state. You are telling your subconscious, "This is the state I choose to return to." By treating nighttime not as an end, but as a deliberate and sacred reset, you transform sleep from a passive necessity into an active and powerful tool for creating the mental and emotional reality you wish to inhabit.
Number 16. Science behind sleep learning. What works and what doesn't. The idea of learning while you sleep has long been a part of popular culture, often depicted as a futuristic method of effortlessly absorbing new languages or complex information by playing audio recordings overnight. This concept, sometimes called hypnopedia, has been the subject of both fascination and scientific scrutiny. As we explore the reprogramming of the subconscious during sleep, it is crucial to understand the real science behind sleep learning, to separate the plausible from the purely fictional, and to grasp what truly works when it comes to influencing the sleeping mind. The first and most important distinction to make is that you cannot learn complex, novel information from scratch while you are in a deep sleep. Your brain, particularly in the deep, slow-wave stages, is primarily focused on internal processes of restoration and consolidation, not on processing new external sensory information. Studies have consistently shown that playing recordings of a new language or a complex academic lecture to a sleeping person does not result in them waking up with new knowledge. The sleeping brain is designed to filter out most external stimuli,
to project the sleep process itself. The idea of becoming fluent in a language overnight simply through passive listening remains firmly in the realm of science fiction. However, this does not mean that the sleeping brain is completely closed off. Recent and fascinating research has revealed a more subtle but powerful form of sleep learning. While you may not be able to learn new declarative knowledge, facts, and figures, studies show that sleep is a critical time for strengthening and reinforcing memories and skills that were already learned or practiced while you were awake. This is a process of consolidation and enhancement. For example, a study showed that musicians who practiced a new melody and then reheard it played softly during their sleep performed it significantly better the next day compared to those who did not hear the playback. The sleeping brain recognized the familiar pattern and used the auditory cue to strengthen the neural pathways associated with that memory. This is the key to what works. Sleep learning is not about introducing brand new information, but about reactivating or tagging existing memories for preferential processing. And this is precisely where our techniques for subconscious reprogramming find their scientific grounding. The affirmations you repeat, the visualizations you create, and the feelings you generate before you fall asleep are the learning you do while you're awake. You are creating a new mental and emotional memory. The gentle repetition of these ideas as you drift off, and perhaps through calm whispered audio during the night, acts as the reactivation cue. You are telling your sleeping brain, this idea, this feeling, this new version of myself, this is the memory I want you to prioritize. This is what I want you to consolidate and strengthen. You are not teaching it something entirely new. You are guiding its natural nightly process of memory integration towards a consciously chosen outcome. This is the subtle, powerful, and scientifically plausible reality of learning while you sleep.
Number 17. The priming effect. What you feed your mind before bed. To further understand how we can effectively influence our subconscious during sleep, we must explore a powerful psychological principle known as priming. Priming is a phenomenon in which exposure to one stimulus influences a response to a subsequent stimulus, without conscious guidance or intention. It is a way of pre-activating certain concepts, memories, or emotional states in the brain, making them more accessible and more likely to influence our thoughts and behaviors. This happens constantly in our waking lives. For example, seeing the color yellow might make you slightly faster to recognize the word banana. Hearing words associated with old age can, in some studies, even cause people to walk more slowly. This demonstrates that our subconscious is constantly being primed by our environment, shaping our actions in ways we rarely notice. This principle becomes incredibly potent when we consider the state of mind just before sleep. The thoughts, emotions, and information you expose yourself to in the final hour or so before you go to bed act as a powerful primer for your subconscious mind throughout the night. Your brain does not simply shut off when you close your eyes.
It continues to process and chew on the last set of instructions it was given. If you spend your last hour watching a stressful news report, engaging in an argument, or scrolling through anxiety-inducing social media feeds, you are priming your mind for a night of stress. You are activating neural pathways associated with fear, anger, and comparison. Your subconscious then takes these cues and continues to process them during sleep, which can lead to restless nights, anxious dreams, and waking up with a sense of unease. Conversely, if you consciously choose to prime your mind with positive, calming, and empowering content, you set a completely different stage for your nightly mental processes. This is why creating a wind-down ritual is so critical. By spending your last hour reading an inspiring book, listening to calming music, journaling about what you are grateful for, or engaging in gentle meditation, you are priming your mind with feelings of peace, gratitude, and possibility. You are activating the neural networks you want your brain to work on while you sleep. You are essentially giving your subconscious a clear and positive to-do list for the night. The last thought you hold before you fall asleep is the anchor point, the primary instruction that will echo through the halls of your mind for the next several hours. Therefore, becoming a conscious curator of your pre-sleep mental diet is not a trivial act. It is one of the most powerful and practical steps you can take in the art of designing your own mind.
Number 18. Circadian rhythm and emotional regulation. Our journey into the architecture of sleep and the subconscious would be incomplete without acknowledging the master clock that governs this entire process, our circadian rhythm. The term circadian comes from the Latin circa diem, meaning about a day. This is your body's internal 24-hour biological clock, a deeply ingrained ancient system that regulates our cycles of sleep and wakefulness. It is controlled by a small region in the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which responds primarily to light and darkness in our environment. This internal clock dictates the rise and fall of our body temperature, our hormone levels, and our alertness throughout the day. Living in harmony with this natural rhythm is not just essential for good physical health, it is profoundly linked to our emotional stability and our ability to effectively reprogram our minds. When our circadian rhythm is stable and synchronized with the natural cycle of day and night, our body systems function optimally. During the day, it promotes the release of hormones like cortisol to keep us alert and energetic. As darkness falls, it signals the pineal gland to begin producing melatonin, the hormone that induces sleepiness and prepares the body for rest. This predictable daily rhythm creates a stable foundation for our emotional well-being. A well-regulated circadian rhythm is associated with better moods, increased resilience to stress, and a greater capacity for emotional regulation. Our subconscious mind, which governs our emotional responses, operates most effectively when its biological container is in a state of balance and harmony. However, in our modern world, it is incredibly easy to disrupt this delicate internal clock. Exposure to artificial blue light from screens late at night, irregular sleep schedules, and a lack of exposure to natural daylight can all send confusing signals to our brain. When our circadian rhythm is disrupted, the production of key hormones like melatonin and cortisol become dysregulated. This can lead to difficulty falling asleep, poor sleep quality, and significant consequences for our emotional health. A misaligned circadian rhythm is strongly linked to increased anxiety, irritability, and a diminished ability to cope with daily stressors. It puts our entire nervous system in a state of subtle, chronic stress, making the subconscious mind more reactive and less receptive to positive change. Therefore, one of the most foundational steps in creating an optimal state for subconscious reprogramming is to honor and support your natural circadian rhythm. This involves simple but powerful practices. Expose yourself to bright, natural light in the morning to signal to your brain that it is time to be alert. Avoid bright screens and blue light in the 1 to 2 hours before bed, as this can suppress melatonin production. Try to go to bed and wake up at roughly the same time each day, even on weekends, to anchor your internal clock. By creating a dark, quiet, and cool sleep environment, you provide the ideal conditions for restorative sleep. These actions are not just about sleep hygiene. They are about creating a state of biological and neurological harmony. By respecting this ancient internal rhythm, you are creating the most stable, peaceful, and receptive canvas upon which you can begin to paint the masterpiece of your new reality.
Number 19. Why your last thought before sleep matters most. We have touched upon the power of priming, but it is essential to dedicate a full exploration to one specific and critical moment in our daily cycle of consciousness, the final thought we hold as we cross the threshold from wakefulness into sleep. This single thought, this final conscious instruction, acts as the thematic anchor for the entire night's work of subconscious processing. It is the keynote that sets the tone for the symphony of dreams, memory consolidation, and emotional regulation that will follow for the next several hours. The profound significance of this moment cannot be overstated. It is perhaps the single most powerful leverage point we have for deliberately influencing the vast hidden architecture of our minds. Imagine your subconscious mind is a vast, fertile garden, and the state of sleep is the period of night when the soil is most open and receptive to new seeds. Your conscious thoughts throughout the day are like seeds scattered by the wind. Some may land in the garden, but many have blown away. However, the last thought you hold as you fall asleep is like a seed you carefully and intentionally plant with your own hands, pressing it gently into the rich dark soil just as the evening rains begin. The seed is given preferential treatment. It is the one that the deep, unconscious processes of the garden will tend to most diligently throughout the night, watering it, nurturing it, and integrating it into the existing ecosystem. This is not merely a metaphor. It reflects the neurological reality of how our brains function. As we drift into the hypnagogic state, our analytical, critical mind, the gatekeeper, is disengaging. Our brainwaves are slowing to the receptive theta state.
At this moment, the subconscious is exceptionally suggestible. The last thought held in your conscious awareness is the one that is most likely to be handed over directly to the subconscious as its primary task. If that thought is one of worry, replaying a mistake from the day, or anxiously anticipating a challenge tomorrow, you are handing your subconscious a problem to solve. It will then spend the night running simulations of that problem, which can manifest as anxious dreams and a feeling of unease upon waking. You have tasked your powerful inner mind with reinforcing a state of anxiety. Conversely, if your last thought is one of gratitude, of peace, or a clear positive affirmation of your desired reality, you are handing your subconscious a solution to embody. If your last thought is a vivid, sensory-rich visualization of yourself already having achieved a goal, you are giving your subconscious a new memory to consolidate and integrate as truth. You are tasking your inner mind with the creative project of making that reality feel more familiar, more natural, and more inevitable. This is why the practice of a gratitude journal or a success log just before sleep is so effective. It intentionally focuses the mind on what is working, on what is good, and what is possible. It makes gratitude the final resonant note of the day. Therefore, taking control of this final moment is a profound act of mental discipline and self-creation. It is the moment you consciously choose the seed you wish to grow in the fertile garden of your mind overnight.
Number 20. Subconscious influence on dreams and night symbols. As we conclude our exploration of how sleep opens the gateway to transformation, we must turn our attention to the most mysterious and symbolic language of the subconscious, our dreams. Dreams have fascinated humanity for millennia, seen as everything from divine messages and prophetic visions to random neural firings. From a psychological perspective, dreams can be understood as a direct, albeit highly symbolic, communication from our subconscious mind. They are the nightly theater where our deepest fears, our unfulfilled desires, our unresolved conflicts, and our greatest potentials are played out in vivid metaphorical narratives. Understanding the influence of the subconscious on our dreams is a key to deciphering these personal nightly messages. Your subconscious does not communicate in the linear, logical language of your waking mind. It speaks in a language of symbols, metaphors, and emotions. It is the language of art, of poetry, of myth. In a dream, a house might symbolize your sense of self. A storm might represent inner turmoil or an external conflict you're facing. A journey might symbolize your life's path or a period of personal growth. The characters you meet in your dreams are often not other people, but are personified aspects of your own psyche. An intimidating figure might represent your shadow self, the parts of you that you have repressed or disowned. A wise, helpful figure might be a manifestation of your inner guide or higher self. The content of our dreams is heavily influenced by the unresolved emotional data that the subconscious is trying to process. The worries, anxieties, and excitements of your day provide the raw material for the dream script. If you spent the day feeling insecure about a presentation, you might dream of being naked in public or unprepared for an exam. These dreams are not literal predictions. They are the subconscious mind's symbolic way of processing the feeling of vulnerability and exposure.
By creating a metaphorical story, it attempts to work through the emotion and integrate the experience, thereby reducing its emotional charge. This is where our conscious intention before sleep becomes so powerful. By priming our mind with positive affirmations and visualizations, we are actively giving our subconscious new, more empowering material to work with for its nightly productions. If you fall asleep feeling and visualizing a state of calm confidence, you're more likely to have dreams that reflect this theme. You might dream of flying, of successfully navigating a challenge, or of being praised and accepted. These dreams are not just pleasant experiences, they are powerful reinforcement mechanisms. They are your subconscious mind rehearsing and consolidating your new desired reality. Paying attention through your dreams, perhaps by keeping a dream journal, can provide invaluable feedback on your reprogramming process. You can begin to see how the symbols in your dreams shift over time, reflecting the changes that are taking place in the deep, hidden architecture of your mind.
Number 21. The power of repetition and gentle affirmation. We now move into the practical application of our understanding, exploring the specific techniques we can use to gently and effectively rewrite the code of our subconscious mind. The first, most fundamental, and arguably most powerful of these techniques is the principle of repetition. As we have established, your subconscious mind learns and forges its programs through repeated exposure to an idea or an action. This is the very mechanism that created your current habits and beliefs. It stands to reason, therefore, that this same mechanism is the key to creating new ones. The consistent, gentle repetition of a new, empowering idea is the primary tool for carving a new neural pathway in the brain and installing a new program in your subconscious operating system. This is the principle behind affirmations. An affirmation is a simple, positive statement declared in the present tense that affirms a desired state of being as if it were already true. For example, instead of saying, "I want to be confident," which reinforces a state of wanting, the affirmation would be, "I am calm, confident, and self-assured." This statement, when repeated, acts as a direct instruction to the subconscious mind. However, the power of affirmations is often misunderstood. It is not about a single forceful declaration, nor is it about trying to intellectually convince yourself of something you don't believe. The conscious mind, with its critical factor, will often reject a statement that starkly contrasts with your current reality. This can create internal conflict and even reinforce the old belief. The true power of affirmations is unlocked through gentle, passive repetition, especially in the receptive states of mind we've discussed. As you're drifting off to sleep, when your brainwaves are slowing to alpha and theta, your analytical mind is disengaged. This is the perfect time to introduce your chosen affirmations. You are not trying to force the belief. You're simply allowing the words to be heard, to be absorbed by the subconscious without resistance. You can repeat the phrase softly in your mind like a gentle mantra. The goal is not intellectual agreement, but subconscious absorption. You are planting a seed. The repetition night after night is the equivalent of watering that seed, allowing it to germinate and take root in the fertile soil of your inner world. The key to crafting effective affirmations is to keep them simple, positive, personal, and in the present tense. Statements like "every day, in every way,
I am getting better and better, or I am worthy and deserving of love and success, or I'm calm, centered, and at peace, are powerful examples. It is also beneficial to attach a positive emotion to the affirmation. As you repeat the words, try to feel the feeling of what it would be like if the statement were already completely true. Feel the warmth of worthiness, the stillness of peace, the quiet strength of confidence. This combination of repeated words and sustained emotion is the language the subconscious understands most clearly. It is a direct and powerful method for overwriting old limiting programs. The process is not dramatic. It is a quiet, patient, and persistent re-education of your deepest self, using the gentle, undeniable power of repetition.
Number 22. Visualization before sleep. Painting the new identity. While affirmations provide the verbal code for our new programming, visualization provides the powerful, sensory-rich blueprint. Your subconscious mind thinks in pictures and feelings, not just in abstract words. It is deeply influenced by the images we hold in our imagination. The technique of visualization, especially when practiced in the receptive state just before sleep, is like handing your subconscious architect a detailed, full-color blueprint of the reality you wish to construct. It is the act of mentally rehearsing your desired future so vividly that your brain and body begin to believe it is happening in the present moment. This process creates new neural pathways and rewires your nervous system to align with your new identity. The practice is simple in concept, yet profound in its effect. As you lie in bed, ready for sleep, you close your eyes and begin to construct a mental movie. This is not a movie where you are an observer watching yourself on a screen. For this to be effective, you must see it from a first-person perspective. You are looking out through your own eyes, seeing what you would see, hearing what you would hear, and most importantly, feeling what you would feel if your desired outcome were already your reality. If your goal is to be more confident, you would visualize yourself walking into a challenging situation, not as your current self, but as your future confident self. You would see the scene through your own eyes. Notice your calm posture. Hear the steady and clear tone of your own voice, and feel the deep, unshakable sense of self-assurance in your chest. The key to powerful visualization is to engage as many senses as possible. Don't just see the scene, immerse yourself in it. What are the sounds in the environment? What are the smells? Is there a particular texture you can feel? The more sensory detail you add, the more real the experience becomes for your subconscious mind. The brain does not always clearly distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you immerse yourself in a detailed visualization, your brain begins to fire neurons in the same patterns as if you were actually performing the action. You are, in a very real sense, installing the neurological hardware for your future self before you have even taken the first physical step. The most critical component, as we've learned, is emotion. As you hold this mental image, you must intentionally cultivate the feeling that accompanies its fulfillment. Feel the joy, the pride, the gratitude, the sense of peace, or the feeling of love that this new reality brings you. Let that emotion wash over you, saturate your entire being.
This emotional signature is what truly anchors the visualization in your subconscious. It is the signal that tells your inner mind, this is not just a fantasy, this is a reality we are creating. Practicing this for just a few minutes each night before you drift off is a powerful form of mental and emotional rehearsal. You are not just hoping for a better future. You are actively building the neurological and subconscious foundation for it, painting a masterpiece of your new identity on the vast open canvas of your sleeping mind.
Number 23. Hypnotic language patterns that bypass resistance. As we refine our techniques for communicating with the subconscious, we can learn to use language in a more sophisticated and effective way. The subconscious mind responds differently to language than the conscious, analytical mind. It is less concerned with the literal, logical meaning and more responsive to suggestion, metaphor, and permissive, indirect language. The patterns used in hypnosis are designed specifically to bypass the critical factor, the conscious mind's tendency to argue, doubt, and resist, and to deliver messages directly to the open, receptive subconscious. Incorporating these gentle patterns into your pre-sleep affirmations and self-talk can make them significantly more powerful. One of the most fundamental hypnotic language patterns is the use of permissive language. Instead of using forceful, commanding statements that the critical factor might reject, you can use softer, more inviting phrases. For example, instead of commanding yourself, "I will be confident," which might trigger a response of, "No, I won't," you could say, "I wonder what it would feel like to feel a growing sense of confidence." Or you can begin to notice a feeling of calm spreading through you. Phrases like, "You might begin to notice," "You can allow yourself to feel," or "It's easy to imagine," are gentle invitations, not demands. They bypass the need for conscious agreement and allow the subconscious to explore the idea without resistance. Another powerful technique is the use of presuppositions. This involves structuring a sentence in a way that presupposes or assumes that a certain change is already happening. For example, the question, "Will you begin to relax now or in a few moments?" presupposes that you will relax. The only question is when. The statement, "As you continue to listen, you can drift even deeper," presupposes that you are already drifting. These patterns gently guide the mind toward a desired state by framing it as an inevitability. The subconscious accepts the underlying assumption, making the process feel more natural and effortless. Metaphor and storytelling are also the native language of the subconscious. Instead of a direct affirmation, you can create a simple, calming metaphor for the change you desire. You might imagine your worries as leaves floating gently down a stream, being carried away from you. You might visualize your mind as a peaceful garden where you are planting seeds of confidence and pulling the weeds of self-doubt. These symbolic narratives bypass the logical mind entirely and communicate directly with the imaginative, associative part of your psyche. The subconscious understands the feeling and the intention behind the metaphor, and it can use that symbolic instruction to create the desired internal shift. You don't need to be a trained hypnotherapist to use these patterns. Simply becoming aware of them can transform your inner dialogue. As you prepare for sleep, try framing your intentions in this softer,
more permissive and metaphorical way. Instead of battling with your mind, you are inviting it into a state of collaboration. You're speaking its language, respecting its processes, and gently guiding it toward the new reality you wish to create. This is the art of suggestion, a subtle yet profound way to bypass resistance and communicate directly with the invisible master within.
Number 24. Mental Rehearsal and Future Memories. We now explore a powerful visualization technique that takes the concept one step further. It's not just about seeing a future event, it's about rehearsing it with such sensory richness and emotional intensity that you effectively create a future memory. This is the practice of mental rehearsal, a technique used by elite athletes, performers, and successful individuals in every field to program their minds and bodies for peak performance. They understand a fundamental principle of the brain. The same neural circuits are activated when you vividly imagine performing an action as when you physically perform it. By mentally rehearsing a desired outcome, you are building and strengthening the neurological pathways for success before the event even takes place. The process of mental rehearsal involves creating a highly detailed first-person memory of a future event unfolding exactly as you wish. Let's say you have an important presentation to give. Instead of worrying about it, you would use your pre-sleep state to mentally rehearse it. You would begin by imagining yourself just before the presentation, feeling a sense of calm, centered preparedness. You would see the room through your own eyes, notice the faces of the audience, and feel the solid ground beneath your feet. Then you would mentally walk through the entire presentation, from the first word to the last. You would hear your own voice, strong, clear, and articulate. You would feel yourself moving with confidence and ease. You would imagine the audience responding positively, nodding in agreement and understanding. You would rehearse not just the perfect execution, but also the feeling of success, relief, and pride upon its completion. This is not a vague daydream. It is a deliberate and focused act of creation. The key is to make the experience as real as possible for your nervous system. By engaging all your senses and, most importantly, by generating the powerful emotions of success, you are creating a neurological template. Your brain begins to recognize this pattern as a familiar experience. When the time comes to perform the actual presentation, your subconscious mind doesn't perceive it as a new, frightening, or unknown event. It recognizes it as something you have already successfully done many times before. It accesses the well-worn neural pathway you created through rehearsal, allowing you to perform with a natural and automatic sense of confidence and competence. This technique can be applied to any area of your life you wish to improve. You can rehearse acing a job interview, having a difficult but successful conversation, or achieving a fitness goal. You are, in essence, populating your subconscious archive with memories of future successes. You are building a library of evidence that supports your new, desired identity.
When your subconscious has a powerful memory of you being a confident speaker, it will naturally begin to align your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors with that identity. This is a profound shift from hoping for a good outcome to actively programming one. As you drift to sleep tonight, choose one future event or desired state of being. Create a vivid, emotionally charged future memory of its successful completion. Rehearse it, feel it, and let your sleeping mind consolidate it as a new and powerful truth about who you are.
Number 25. Constructing your inner world with guided imagination. Beyond visualizing specific events, we can use our imagination in a more foundational way to construct and inhabit a dedicated inner world, a mental sanctuary that represents our ideal state of being. This technique, often used in deep meditation and self-hypnosis, involves creating a safe, peaceful, and empowering place within your mind that you can return to again and again. This inner world acts as a powerful anchor for your subconscious, a symbolic representation of the peace, confidence, or abundance you wish to cultivate. By repeatedly visiting this space, especially during the receptive state before sleep, you are strengthening the neural pathways associated with those feelings, making them a more accessible and natural part of your waking reality. The first step is to design your sanctuary. This is a deeply personal process, and there are no rules. Your inner world can be any place, real or imagined, that evokes a profound sense of peace and well-being for you. It could be a secluded, sun-dappled forest with a gentle stream. It could be a quiet, private library filled with ancient wisdom and comfortable chairs. It could be a beautiful, pristine beach at sunset, with the warm sand beneath your feet and the sound of calm waves. It could even be a futuristic, minimalist space filled with soft, glowing light. The key is that this place feels absolutely safe, serene, and resonant with the qualities you wish to embody. Once you have a general idea, you begin to build it with your senses. As you lie in bed, ready for sleep, close your eyes and imagine yourself stepping into this space. Don't just see it, experience it. If it's a forest, feel the soft moss under your feet. Smell the rich, damp earth. Hear the gentle rustle of leaves, and feel the warmth of the sun filtering through the canopy. If it's a library, feel the texture of a leather-bound book, smell the scent of old paper and wood, and enjoy the profound, comforting silence. The more sensory detail you add, the more real and solid this inner world becomes for your subconscious mind. Now, you can begin to infuse this space with symbolic meaning. This sanctuary is your control room for subconscious reprogramming. Within this world, you can install tools for transformation. You might imagine a beautiful, clear pool of water that can wash away any negative emotions or anxieties. You might find a mirror that, when you look into it, reflects back your ideal, confident self. You might discover a control panel where you can turn down the volume of your inner critic and turn up the volume of your inner wisdom. By interacting with these symbolic elements within your guided imagination, you are giving your subconscious clear metaphorical instructions for the changes you wish to make.
Returning to this inner sanctuary each night before sleep becomes a powerful ritual. It is a signal to your entire being that it is time to shift from the stress of the external world to the peace and potential of the internal one. It becomes a conditioned response. Simply imagining your sanctuary can begin to trigger feelings of calm and relaxation. It is your private, sacred space for healing, for growth, and for consciously designing the architecture of your inner reality.
Number 26. Identity shifting. Becoming who you want to be while sleeping. We now arrive at one of the most direct and profound techniques for subconscious reprogramming, the practice of identity shifting. This method goes beyond affirming a specific trait or visualizing a single event. It involves the deliberate and sustained act of embodying the identity of the person you wish to become. It is based on a simple but powerful premise. Your subconscious mind will always act in accordance with your deepest held identity. Therefore, the most efficient way to change your behavior and your reality is to change your fundamental concept of self. You do not try to be confident, you become a confident person. You do not try to be wealthy, you become a wealthy person at the level of identity. The process of identity shifting begins with a clear and conscious choice. First, you must define the new identity you wish to embody with as much clarity as possible. What are the core beliefs of this version of you? How does this person think? How do they feel on a daily basis? How do they carry themselves? How do they respond to challenges and opportunities? You are not creating a fictional character. You are defining the next evolved version of yourself. This is your ideal self, the person you know you have the potential to be. Write these traits down. Make them clear and tangible. The second step is to begin acting as if. Throughout your day, you can consciously ask yourself, how would the person I want to be handle this situation? And then you act accordingly. But the most powerful time for this practice is, once again, the state before and during sleep. As you lie in bed, you are not simply visualizing an outcome. You are mentally putting on the new identity like a set of clothes. You begin to think from the perspective of your ideal self, not about it. You would ask yourself, now that I am a deeply calm and resilient person, what are my thoughts as I drift off to sleep? The answer would not be worry or anxiety. It would be thoughts of peace, gratitude, and quiet strength. You then immerse yourself in a feeling state of this new identity. Don't just think about confidence. Feel the physical sensation of confidence in your body. Where do you feel it? Is it a warmth in your chest, a solidness in your core, a sense of expansion in your shoulders? By generating the actual physical feeling of the new identity, you are sending the most powerful signal possible to your subconscious mind. You're providing it with the direct sensory evidence of this new reality. The subconscious, which learns from feeling and repetition, begins to accept this new identity as its default setting. This nightly practice of embodying your future self is a profound form of mental and emotional rehearsal. You are literally training your brain and body to operate from a new level of being. Night after night, as you fall asleep as this new person, the old identity begins to fade.
The old neural pathways weaken from disuse, and the new ones associated with your chosen identity become stronger and more dominant. Over time, you will find that you are no longer acting as if. You will simply be that person. Your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions will align automatically and effortlessly with your new, consciously chosen identity. An identity that was born and nurtured in the quiet, transformative sanctuary of your sleep.
Number 27. The Mirror Method. Reflecting new thoughts internally. We now explore a simple yet profoundly effective technique that combines elements of affirmation and visualization, a method sometimes referred to as the mirror method or the mental mirror. This practice leverages the powerful symbolic and psychological significance of mirrors in our lives. From a young age, a mirror is how we form our self-image. It is the tool we use to confirm our physical identity. What we see in the mirror, we tend to believe is us. The mirror method harnesses this ingrained subconscious association to reflect back a new desired identity, not just a physical one, but an emotional and psychological one. It is a way of providing your subconscious with clear visual proof of the person you are becoming. The technique can be practiced both physically and mentally. The physical practice involves standing in front of an actual mirror, looking into your own eyes, and speaking your affirmations aloud. This can be a powerful but sometimes confrontational practice, as it forces your conscious mind to deal with the potential incongruity between what you are saying and what you currently believe. For our purposes, we will focus on the internal, pre-sleep version of this method, which is gentler and bypasses the conscious critic more effectively. It is a form of guided imagination that you can practice as you are drifting off to sleep. As you lie in bed, comfortable and relaxed, you begin by imagining a large, ornate, and beautiful mirror in your mind's eye. This is not just any mirror. This is your subconscious mirror, or mirror of truth. It has a special quality. It does not reflect what is, but what you choose it to reflect. It reflects the ideal version of you, the identity you are in the process of embodying. You imagine yourself standing before this mirror. Take a moment to construct the image of your ideal self in the reflection. See yourself standing tall, with a posture of calm confidence. See a gentle, genuine smile on your face. Most importantly, see the look in your own reflected eyes, a look of self-assurance, peace, and inner strength. Now you begin a silent internal dialogue with the version of yourself in the mirror. You look into your own eyes in the reflection and begin to state your affirmations. You are calm and centered. You are worthy and deserving of all good things. You handle every situation with grace and wisdom. Notice the shift. You are not saying I am, which can sometimes trigger resistance. You are speaking to you, the powerful and ideal reflection which the subconscious perceives as a separate but attainable version of yourself. This subtle shift in language can make the suggestions easier to accept. As you speak these words, imagine the reflection nodding in agreement, its expression of confidence growing even stronger.
The final and most powerful step is to imagine yourself stepping into the mirror and merging with that ideal reflection. Visualize yourself physically blending with the confident, peaceful version of you, feeling all of its positive emotional qualities flooding your own being. Feel the confidence, the peace, the worthiness as your own. You're not just observing your ideal self, you are becoming it. By practicing this nightly, you are using the profound, deeply ingrained symbolism of the mirror to reflect, affirm, and then merge with the person you are consciously choosing to become.
Number 28. A nightly routine that signals transformation. Our ability to access and reprogram the subconscious mind is greatly enhanced by consistency and ritual. The subconscious thrives on patterns and associations. By creating a deliberate and consistent nightly routine, you are not just preparing your body for sleep, you are creating a powerful psychological trigger, a signal to your mind that it is time to shift from the conscious external world to the receptive internal world of transformation. This routine becomes a sacred ritual, a sequence of actions that tells every level of your being that the work of rewriting your inner code is about to begin. A well-designed nightly routine is one of the most practical and supportive structures you can build for your journey of personal growth. The power of the routine lies in a psychological principle known as classical conditioning. This is where the brain learns to associate a neutral stimulus with a specific response. Just as Pavlov's dog has learned to associate the sound of a bell with food, causing them to salivate, your mind can learn to associate your nightly routine with a state of deep relaxation and subconscious receptivity. When you perform the same sequence of calming actions every night, your brain begins to anticipate the state of sleep and suggestion that follows. Over time, simply beginning your routine will be enough to trigger a shift in your brainwaves, moving you more easily and quickly into the alpha and theta states, where reprogramming is most effective. A transformative nightly routine does not need to be complex or time-consuming. The key is consistency and intention. It should begin about an hour before you plan to sleep and should involve activities that calm the nervous system and quiet the conscious mind. The first step is often a digital sunset. This means turning off all screens, phones, televisions, computers, at least an hour before bed. The blue light from these devices suppresses the production of melatonin, the sleep hormone, and the constant stream of information keeps your conscious mind overstimulated and agitated. Disconnecting from the digital world is a crucial first step in connecting with your inner world. The activities you choose for your routine should be personal and calming. This might involve some gentle stretching to release physical tension from the day. You might practice journaling, writing down any lingering worries to get them out of your head, or listing 3 things you're grateful for to prime your mind with positivity. Reading a physical book, something inspirational or philosophical rather than a thrilling page-turner, can be an excellent way to quiet the mind. The final part of your routine are the techniques we have been discussing. Spending a few minutes with your affirmations, your visualization, or your mental mirror practice right as you get into bed. The sequence itself is less important than the consistency with which you perform it. This nightly ritual becomes a sacred container for your transformation, a clear and powerful signal to your subconscious that it is time to get to work building the new you.
Number 29. Self-Hypnosis, a beginner's guide to mind influence. As we continue to explore the practical tools for subconscious change, we now arrive at a technique that is often shrouded in mystery and misconception, but is in reality a natural and powerful state of mind that we can all learn to access and utilize. This is the practice of self-hypnosis. Hypnosis is not about losing control or being manipulated by someone else. At its core, hypnosis is simply a state of highly focused attention, combined with deep physical and mental relaxation, which allows you to bypass the critical factor of the conscious mind and communicate directly with the subconscious. All hypnosis is, in essence, self-hypnosis, as it requires your willing participation. Learning to guide yourself into this state is a powerful skill for accelerating personal transformation. The process of self-hypnosis is a journey of gently guiding your own awareness inward. It begins with the same foundational steps as any deep relaxation practice. You find a comfortable position, close your eyes, and begin to focus on your breath. With each exhalation, you can give yourself a silent suggestion to relax, such as letting go or deeper and deeper. The goal is to shift your focus away from external distractions and internal chatter and onto the simple rhythmic sensation of your own body. This initial phase is about calming the nervous system and slowing your brain waves from the busy beta state down into the calm, receptive alpha state. Once you feel a sense of physical relaxation, you can begin to deepen the state. A common technique is to use guided imagery, such as imagining yourself slowly descending a beautiful staircase. With each step down, you can tell yourself that you are going deeper into relaxation. You might count down from 10 to 1, with each number taking you further into a state of peace and tranquility. Another method is progressive muscle relaxation, where you consciously tense and then release different muscle groups throughout your body, from your toes to your head, in action that physically signals to your brain to let go of tension. The specific technique is less important than the intention, to quiet the conscious mind and allow the subconscious to become more prominent. Once you have entered this deeply relaxed theta-dominant state, the state of hypnosis, the critical factor is bypassed. This is the moment to introduce your chosen programming. You can repeat your affirmations knowing they will be accepted without resistance. You can engage in your vivid visualizations, which will feel even more real and immersive in the state. You can speak to your subconscious directly, giving it positive, empowering instructions for the changes you wish to see. For example, you might say to yourself, "Every day your confidence grows stronger," or "You are now free from the old patterns of the past." After delivering your suggestions, it is important to gently guide yourself back to full awareness, perhaps by counting up from 1 to 5, feeling more alert with each number. Practicing self-hypnosis just before sleep is particularly effective.
as you can simply allow yourself to drift from the hypnotic state directly into natural, restorative sleep, letting your subconscious mind process and integrate the new programming overnight.
Number 30. Sleep scripting, writing messages for your inner mind. We now explore a technique that combines the power of written language, intention, and subconscious absorption. This is the practice of sleep scripting. Sleep scripting is the deliberate act of writing down a detailed description of your desired reality, your ideal self, or a specific goal, and then reading it to yourself just before you fall asleep. It is a way of creating a clear, focused, and powerful message for your inner mind. This process works on multiple levels. The physical act of writing engages your conscious mind and clarifies your desires. The act of reading it aloud or silently engages your auditory and visual imagination. And the act of doing so just before sleep ensures that this carefully crafted script is the primary data your subconscious will work with throughout the night. The first step in sleep scripting is to decide on a specific area of your life you wish to transform. It is often more effective to focus on one or two key goals at a time, rather than creating a scattered and unfocused script. Once you have your goal, you begin to write about it in a journal or on a piece of paper. The key is to write it in the present tense, as if it has already happened, and to fill it with positive emotion and sensory detail. You are not writing a plan of action. You are writing a scene from your new reality. You are describing a day in the life of the version of you who has already achieved this goal. For example, if your goal is to achieve financial abundance, your script would not say, "I want to have more money." Instead, it might read something like this: "I am so grateful as I wake up this morning feeling a profound sense of peace and security. I look at my bank account online and smile as I see the healthy, abundant balance, knowing I have more than enough to meet all my needs and desires. I feel a sense of freedom and ease as I go about my day, making generous choices and feeling completely relaxed about my financial future." Notice the use of present tense language: I am, I feel, and positive emotional words: grateful, peace, freedom, ease. You would continue to script out your ideal day, describing the sights, sounds, and feelings of this new reality. The ritual of reading this script each night before sleep is what turns it into a powerful tool for reprogramming. As you read the words, you are not just reading, you are reactivating the visualization and the emotional state you described. You are priming your mind with the exact frequency of your desired reality. You are handing your subconscious a detailed, multisensory story. After reading your script, you put it away, turn off the light, and allow yourself to drift off to sleep while holding the positive feelings that the script evoked. Your subconscious mind, which loves stories and clear instructions, now has a rich and detailed narrative to work with. It will begin to treat this script as a blueprint, working during your sleep to align your beliefs, your perceptions, and your actions with the reality you have so clearly and beautifully defined.
Number 31. Environment and subconscious triggers. Having explored the powerful techniques for reprogramming our minds during sleep, we now turn our attention to the waking world.
The most profound nightly reprogramming can be undermined if our daily environment is constantly sending contradictory messages to our subconscious. Our subconscious mind is in a continuous dynamic dialogue with our surroundings. It perceives subtle cues or triggers in our environment that can automatically activate old habits, emotional states, and limiting beliefs. Therefore, becoming a conscious curator of your personal environment is a crucial step in supporting and reinforcing the new inner architecture you are building each night. Your external world should become a reflection of your internal goals. A subconscious trigger is any sensory input, a sight, a sound, a smell, that your mind has learned to associate with a specific thought, feeling, or behavior. For example, the sight of a particular chair might be the trigger for the habit of watching television for hours. The smell of a certain food might trigger a craving that has nothing to do with physical hunger. A specific song on the radio might instantly transport you back to a painful memory, activating feelings of sadness or loss. These triggers often operate beneath the level of our conscious awareness, and they can be powerful enough to override our conscious intentions. You might wake up feeling confident and motivated after a night of positive programming, only to have an old, self-limiting belief triggered by a critical email or a messy room. The first step in mastering your environment is to conduct an audit of your current triggers. Pay mindful attention to your surroundings, both at home and at work. What objects, people, or situations tend to trigger negative thought patterns or unwanted habits? You might notice that a cluttered desk triggers feelings of overwhelm and procrastination. You might find that your social media feed triggers feelings of comparison and inadequacy. The goal is not to judge these things, but to simply become aware of the subconscious associations you have formed. Awareness is the first step to change. Once you have identified the negative triggers, you can begin to consciously reduce or eliminate them. This might mean decluttering your workspace, unfollowing social media accounts that make you feel bad, or changing the route you take to avoid a place with negative associations. The second and more powerful step is to proactively design your environment with positive triggers. You can consciously place objects and create sensory experiences that will prime your subconscious for success, confidence, and peace. This could be as simple as placing a written affirmation on your bathroom mirror, so it's the first thing you see in the morning. You could create a playlist of inspiring music to listen to while you work. You could place a plant on your desk to trigger feelings of growth and vitality. You can choose to surround yourself with people who are supportive and who reflect the qualities you wish to embody. By doing this, you are turning your environment from a potential saboteur into a powerful ally. You are creating a space where every sight, sound, and association works in harmony with your nightly reprogramming, constantly reminding your subconscious of the new empowered reality you are stepping into.
Number 32. Conscious speech, talking as a programmer of your mind. While much of our focus has been on the inner dialogue and the thoughts we hold before sleep, it is crucial to recognize that the words we speak aloud during our waking hours are also a powerful form of subconscious programming. Your subconscious mind is always listening. It does not distinguish between the words you think and the words you say. In fact, because spoken words are physical, they are vibrations that you create and also hear. They can often carry an even stronger imprint. Every word you speak is an affirmation, a declaration to your subconscious mind about who you are and what you believe to be true. To become a master of your mind, you must become a conscious master of your speech. Consider the casual, often negative language we use in our daily lives. How often do we say things like, "I'm so tired," "I'm terrible with names," "I can never catch a break," or "that's just my luck"? To the conscious mind, these might seem like harmless observations or figures of speech. But to the subconscious mind, they are direct commands. When you repeatedly declare, "I am so tired," your subconscious accepts this as an instruction and begins to align your biology to match, potentially reducing your energy levels. When you say, "I'm terrible with names," you are programming your mind to actively fail at remembering them, to prove your own declaration correct. Your words are constantly shaping your reality by reinforcing the programs that your subconscious runs. The practice of conscious speech involves bringing a new level of mindfulness and deliberation to the words you choose to speak. It is about catching yourself before you utter a self-limiting or negative phrase and choosing a more empowering alternative. Instead of, "This is going to be so hard," you might reframe it as, "This will be a challenging and rewarding opportunity for growth." Instead of, "I can't afford that," you could say, "I am choosing to allocate my resources differently at this time." This is not about being dishonest or denying reality. It is about shifting your linguistic focus from what is lacking to what is possible. It is about talking about your problems less and talking about your solutions more. This practice is particularly powerful when you speak about yourself. Begin to eliminate self-deprecating jokes or casual criticisms from your vocabulary. Instead, make a conscious effort to speak about yourself with respect and kindness. You can even use your spoken words to reinforce the new identity you are building. You can start to say things like, "I'm actually getting quite good at handling stress," or "I've been feeling a lot more confident lately." Even if you don't fully believe it at first, the act of speaking it aloud sends a new, powerful signal to your subconscious. Your ears hear the words, your body feels the vibration of your own voice, and this multisensory input helps to solidify the new programming. Your daily speech can either be a constant reinforcement of old limiting patterns, or it can become a powerful, continuous affirmation of the new reality you are consciously and deliberately creating, one word at a time.
Number 33. Journaling as emotional downloading before sleep. We have spoken about the importance of priming the mind with positive thoughts before sleep. However, sometimes our minds are too cluttered with the worries, frustrations, and unresolved emotions of the day to simply switch to a positive state. Forcing positivity on top of unprocessed negativity can feel inauthentic and ineffective. This is where the practice of journaling, specifically as a form of emotional downloading, becomes an invaluable tool in our nightly routine. Journaling before sleep is the act of externalizing your internal chaos. It is a way of taking the swirling, anxious thoughts out of your head and putting them onto a physical piece of paper, thereby creating the mental space necessary for peace, relaxation, and effective subconscious reprogramming. Think of your conscious mind at the end of the day as a computer, with too many programs running and too many unsaved files open. It feels slow, cluttered, and prone to crashing. If you try to simply shut it down, it will prompt you with, "Do you want to save your changes?" and you'll be stuck in a loop of worry. Journaling is the process of methodically going through each open file, saving its contents, and then closing the program. By writing down your worries, your to-do lists for the next day, and any lingering resentments or frustrations, you are telling your brain, "I have acknowledged this. It is saved. It will not be forgotten. You can let go of it for now." This act of externalization signals to your subconscious that it no longer needs to keep these loops active, freeing up immense amounts of mental and emotional energy. The process does not need to be formal or eloquent. This is not about writing a literary masterpiece. It is about a raw, honest, and unfiltered transfer of thought from mind to paper. You can use a technique called a brain dump, where you simply write, without stopping and without judgment, everything that is on your mind for 10 to 15 minutes. You write down the big worries and the small petty annoyances. You write down the things you need to remember to do tomorrow. You write down the conversations you are replaying in your head. The goal is to empty the contents of your conscious mind so that you can approach sleep from a place of clarity and quiet. Once you have completed this download of negativity and mental clutter, you can then pivot your journaling practice to one of priming. After emptying the worries, you can then dedicate a separate page or a few minutes to writing down things you're grateful for. This shifts your focus from what is wrong to what is right. You can write down 1 or 2 small successes from the day, reinforcing a sense of competence. And finally, you can write down your primary intention or affirmation for the night's reprogramming. This 2-step process of clearing and then priming is incredibly effective. It honors the reality of your daily stress while preventing it from contaminating the sacred space of your pre-sleep state. By making journaling a part of your nightly ritual, you are performing a profound act of mental hygiene, creating a clean, quiet, and receptive inner environment where the seeds of your desired future can be planted and allowed to grow undisturbed.
Number 34. Mindful silence, letting go of the noise. In our modern world, we are constantly surrounded by noise. Not just the audible noise of traffic, televisions, and conversations, but the silent internal noise of constant mental chatter, digital notifications, and an endless stream of information. This state of perpetual stimulation keeps our nervous systems in a low-grade state of alert, and our conscious minds perpetually busy. One of the most powerful and supportive practices for our nightly reprogramming is to intentionally create pockets of mindful silence in our daily lives, and especially in the transition to sleep. Mindful silence is not just the absence of sound. It is the practice of consciously letting go of the need to process, to analyze, and to be entertained. It is a general act of creating inner space, allowing the subconscious mind to surface and the nervous system to return to its natural state of rest. The practice of mindful silence can take many forms. It can be as simple as turning off the radio during your commute and just noticing the world around you without commentary. It can be the act of eating a meal without the distraction of a screen, simply focusing on the taste and texture of your food.
It can be a 10-minute stillness break in the middle of your workday, where you close your eyes and focus on your breath. These moments act as pressure release valves for the mind. They interrupt the habitual patterns of overthinking and mental stimulation, creating a pause that allows for greater clarity and a deeper connection to your inner state. This practice becomes particularly crucial in the evening. As part of your wind-down routine, dedicating even a short period to mindful silence can be profoundly transformative. After you have completed your journaling, before you begin your visualizations or affirmations, you can simply sit or lie in quiet darkness for a few minutes. The initial experience might be uncomfortable. The noise of your mind might seem to get louder as you stop distracting yourself from it. But if you can sit with it without judgment, simply observing the thoughts as they arise and pass like clouds in the sky, something remarkable happens. The chatter begins to slow down. The mental energy dissipates. You create a space of quiet neutrality. This quiet, empty space is the most fertile ground for planting new seeds of intention. It is from this place of inner silence that your affirmations will have the most power. It is in this stillness that your visualizations will be most vivid. You have cleared away the noise and the clutter, creating a pristine canvas. By practicing mindful silence, you are not just preparing for sleep, you are cultivating a state of being. You are training your mind to be comfortable with stillness, to find peace not in distraction, but in presence. This skill is invaluable. It reduces your overall stress levels, enhances your ability to focus, and makes the nightly transition into the deep, receptive states of subconscious programming a much more natural, gentle, and effortless process. It is the art of letting go of the noise of the world so you can finally hear the quiet, wise voice within.
Number 35. The 21-Day Rule. Rituals that reshape your brain. As we embark on the journey of reprogramming our subconscious mind, it is important to understand the role of time and consistency in creating lasting change. A common concept in the world of habit formation is the 21-day rule, which suggests that it takes approximately 21 days of consistent practice to form a new habit. While the exact number of days can vary greatly from person to person and depends on the complexity of the habit, the underlying principle is sound and deeply rooted in neuroscience. This principle is neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself, to form new neuronal connections, and to change its structure and function in response to experience. The rituals we practice nightly are not just psychological exercises, they are physical acts of reshaping our brain. When you first begin a new practice, such as a nightly visualization or the repetition of a new affirmation, you are forging a new neural pathway. In the beginning, this pathway is like a tiny, overgrown footpath in a dense forest. It requires conscious effort and focused attention to navigate. The old, familiar pathways, your old habits of thought and feeling, are like wide, paved superhighways. Your brain, being efficient, will naturally want to take the path of least resistance, the familiar superhighway of your old programming.
This is why the first few days or even weeks of a new practice can feel difficult or inauthentic. You are actively working against decades of established neural architecture. However, with each and every repetition, the new footpath gets a little wider. With each nightly ritual, you clear away a little more of the undergrowth. The electrical signals begin to travel down this new pathway more easily. The neurons involved in the new thought pattern begin to form stronger, more efficient connections. This is a process known as violination, where a fatty sheath forms around the axon of a neuron, acting like an insulation on a wire and allowing signals to travel much faster. The more you use a neural pathway, the more myelinated it becomes. With consistent practice over a period of weeks, your tiny footpath begins to transform into a well-trodden lane, then a road, and eventually a new superhighway. This is why consistency is far more important than intensity. A marathon session of visualization one night followed by a week of neglect will do very little, but a gentle, focused 5 to 10 minute practice performed consistently every single night will create real, physical, and lasting change in the structure of your brain. The 21-day rule, or perhaps more realistically, a 30 to 60-day period, should be seen as the initial construction phase. It is the time required to build the new road and make it a viable alternative to the old one. Once the new neural pathway is established and myelinated, the new way of thinking or feeling begins to feel more natural, more automatic. It becomes the new path of least resistance. Understanding this neuroscientific process can provide profound motivation. Know that with every nightly ritual, you are not just hoping for change, you are actively engaging in the biological process of reshaping your brain and redesigning your mind.
Number 36. Emotional detox. Letting go to let the new in. A crucial yet often overlooked aspect of subconscious reprogramming is the necessity of creating emotional space for the new programming to take root. You cannot simply layer new positive beliefs on top of a lifetime of unprocessed negative emotional energy. It is like trying to plant a beautiful garden in soil that is toxic and filled with weeds. Before you can effectively plant the new seeds of confidence, peace, and abundance, you must first engage in a gentle process of emotional detoxification. This is the act of consciously acknowledging, feeling, and releasing the old, stagnant emotions that are stored in your subconscious and your physical body. Letting go is the essential prerequisite to letting the new in. For most of our lives, we are taught to suppress or avoid so-called negative emotions like sadness, anger, and fear. We distract ourselves, we numb ourselves, or we intellectually rationalize them away. However, the subconscious mind does not forget. Unprocessed emotions do not simply disappear. They are stored in the body's nervous system as trapped energy. This stored emotional energy can manifest as chronic muscle tension, anxiety, or a persistent low-grade sense of unease. It also reinforces the old subconscious programs. For example, if you have a stored, unreleased emotion of shame from a past event, it will act as a constant anchor,
pulling you back into beliefs of unworthiness, no matter how many positive affirmations you repeat. The process of emotional detox is not about re-traumatizing yourself by endlessly reliving the past. It is a much gentler practice of mindful awareness and release. It begins with the simple, courageous act of allowing yourself to feel what you are feeling without judgment. As you lie in bed, you can do a gentle scan of your body. You might notice a tightness in your chest, a knot in your stomach, or a tension in your shoulders. Instead of ignoring it, you can simply bring your gentle, curious attention to that sensation. You can breathe into it. You can silently say to that emotion, "I see you. I acknowledge you. It is safe for you to be here." By simply allowing the emotion to be present without resisting it, you begin to loosen its grip. You are signaling to your nervous system that the threat is over, and it is now safe to release this old energy. Another powerful technique is to combine this awareness with your exhalation. As you breathe in, you acknowledge the feeling. As you breathe out, you can visualize the dense, heavy energy of that emotion leaving your body with the breath, dissolving into a neutral space. You are not forcing it out. You are simply creating the conditions for its release. This practice of emotional detox, performed regularly as part of your nightly routine, cleanses the soil of your subconscious mind. It releases the old anchors that keep you tethered to the past. It creates a state of inner lightness and emotional freedom. This clean, clear, and peaceful inner environment is the most fertile ground imaginable for your new programming. Once the old, heavy emotions have been acknowledged and released, the new seeds of your desired reality can be planted with ease, free to grow strong and unobstructed towards the light.
Number 37. The Inner Dialogue Audit. Editing your thought loops. One of the most powerful ways your subconscious programming manifests in your daily life is through your automatic internal dialogue. This is the constant stream of chatter in your mind, the voice that comments, judges, and narrates your experience of the world. For many people, this inner dialogue is a relentless loop of self-criticism, worry, and negativity, a direct playback of their deepest limiting subconscious beliefs. Becoming a conscious editor of these thought loops is a fundamental practice for supporting your nightly reprogramming. What you practice in your mind by day reinforces the reality your subconscious consolidates by night. The first step in this process is to conduct an inner dialogue audit. This is an act of mindful self-observation. Throughout your day, you begin to pay attention, without judgment, to the content and tone of your thoughts. You become a neutral witness to your own mind. What is the first thought you have when you wake up? What do you tell yourself when you make a mistake? What is the narrative that runs when you face a challenge or meet someone new? You might be surprised to discover the repetitive nature of these thoughts. You may find that you have been running the same few negative thought loops for years, or even decades, without ever consciously questioning them. Simply bringing awareness to these patterns is the first and most critical step in disarming them.
Once you have identified a recurring negative thought loop, the next step is to consciously interrupt the pattern. The moment you catch yourself engaging in a familiar, disempowering internal narrative, you can use a simple but effective technique. Silently or aloud, you can say a stop command, such as cancel, delete, or simply stop. This act of conscious interruption breaks the hypnotic trance of the automatic thought loop. It creates a brief pause, a space of mental silence. This pause is your moment of power. It is the space where you can consciously choose to introduce a new, more empowering thought. This is the editing process. After you interrupt the old thought, you immediately replace it with a pre-prepared, positive and constructive alternative, your chosen affirmation or a better-feeling thought. For example, if you catch the thought, "I can't handle this, it's too much," you would interrupt it with "stop," and then immediately replace it with "I am resourceful and I can handle this one step at a time." If the old thought is "I always mess things up," you interrupt and replace it with "I am learning and growing from every experience." At first, this process will feel mechanical and may require significant effort. You are manually overriding a deeply ingrained habit. However, just like forging a new neural pathway, this practice of catch, stop, and replace becomes easier and more automatic with repetition. You are actively weakening the old thought loop by starving it of your attention and energy, while simultaneously strengthening the new one. This daily conscious editing of your inner dialogue is the perfect complement to your nightly reprogramming. During the day, you are actively pruning the weeds of negativity and planting the seeds of your new beliefs. Then, during the night, in the deep receptive state of sleep, your subconscious mind takes these newly planted seeds and nurtures them, integrating them deeply into the very architecture of your identity.
Number 38. Self-compassion as mental lubricant for change. As we journey deeper into the work of reprogramming our minds, we must introduce what is perhaps the most essential and powerful ingredient for making this process not only effective, but also gentle and sustainable. This ingredient is self-compassion. The process of change can be challenging. There will be days when you forget your practices. There will be moments when old negative patterns resurface with surprising force. There will be times when you feel frustrated with your progress. In these moments, the voice of the inner critic may become loud, judging you for not being good enough at changing. Self-compassion is the antidote to this self-judgment. It is the practice of treating yourself with the same kindness, care, and understanding that you would offer to a dear friend who is struggling. It is the mental and emotional lubricant that makes the entire process of transformation smoother and more loving. Self-compassion, as defined by researcher Dr. Tristan Neff, has three core components. The first is mindfulness. This is the ability to observe our own struggles and shortcomings without judgment or suppression. It is acknowledging, yes, this is difficult right now, or I have fallen back into an old habit, without layering on a secondary wave of self-criticism. It is a clear and gentle seeing of what is.
The second component is common humanity. This is the profound recognition that suffering, imperfection, and failure are not personal defects. They are a universal part of the human experience. Everyone struggles. Everyone makes mistakes. By remembering this, we feel less isolated in our difficulties. We realize that our struggles connect us to others rather than separating us. The third and most active component is self-kindness. This is the practice of actively soothing and comforting yourself when you are in pain. It is about changing your inner dialogue from one of harsh criticism to one of all encouragement. Instead of saying, "You idiot, you failed again," you learn to say, "This is really hard, but it's okay. You're doing your best, and I am here for you." This shift in inner tone is profoundly healing for the nervous system and the subconscious mind. The subconscious, which was often programmed with criticism, responds deeply to the new, consistent message of kindness and safety. In the context of our reprogramming work, self-compassion is not an indulgence, it is a vital necessity. When you try to install a new belief, such as, "I am worthy," but an old feeling of unworthiness arises, self-compassion allows you to hold that painful feeling with kindness, rather than fighting it or judging yourself for having it. This gentle acceptance actually allows the old emotional energy to dissolve more quickly. When you are trying to build new habits, self-compassion allows you to get back on track after a setback without falling into a spiral of shame and giving up completely. It creates resilience. It makes the entire journey feel safe for your subconscious mind. A mind that feels safe is a mind that is open to change. As you prepare for sleep each night, make self-compassion a part of your ritual. Extend kindness to yourself for the struggles of the day and affirm that you are worthy of love and support, especially from yourself. This creates the most fertile and loving ground for your new self to blossom.
Number 39. The Sleep Cycle Journal. Tracking your progress. As with any meaningful journey, it is immensely helpful to have a map and a way to track your progress. While the changes happening within your subconscious are subtle and internal, they will begin to manifest in your waking life in observable ways. The practice of keeping a sleep cycle journal or a transformation log is a powerful tool for recognizing these changes, reinforcing your progress, and maintaining motivation. This is not just a diary. It is a deliberate act of gathering evidence for your conscious and subconscious mind that the reprogramming is working. What we focus on expands, and by focusing on positive shifts, no matter how small, we accelerate the process of change. Your journal can be a simple notebook that you keep by your bedside. Each morning, shortly after waking, you take just a few minutes to reflect on several key areas. The first area is your dream life. As we've discussed, dreams are a window into the subconscious. You can simply jot down any dream fragments you remember. You are not trying to be a dream analyst, but simply a curious observer. Over time, you may begin to notice shifts in the themes, symbols, or emotional tone of your dreams. Perhaps anxious dreams become less frequent, replaced by dreams of empowerment, flight, or peaceful resolution. This is direct feedback that your inner world is changing. The second area to track is your waking state.
How did you feel the moment you woke up? Did you wake up with a sense of dread, or a sense of neutral calm, or even a flicker of optimism? Our emotional state upon waking is often a direct reflection of the mental processing that occurred during the night. Noting this down each morning can reveal a gradual positive trend over time, providing tangible proof that your nightly rituals are influencing your baseline emotional state. The third, and perhaps most important area, is to become a positive evidence collector throughout your day. Your task is to actually look for small pieces of evidence that your new programming is taking effect. Did you handle a stressful situation with a little more calm than usual? Did you speak up in a meeting when you normally would have stayed silent? Did you look in the mirror and have a kinder thought about yourself? Write these small wins down in your journal each evening. These are not coincidences. They are the results of your inner work. By consciously acknowledging and recording them, you are creating a powerful feedback loop. You are showing your conscious mind, the part of you that can be skeptical, that change is really happening. This practice transforms your relationship with yourself. You shift from being your own worst critic to being your own best cheerleader and supportive scientist. You are gathering your own transformation data. When you have a difficult day or feel like you're not making progress, you can look back through the pages of your journal and see in your own handwriting the undeniable evidence of your growth. This act of tracking reinforces the new beliefs, builds momentum, and provides the encouragement needed to stay consistent on this profound journey of becoming the deliberate designer of your own mind.
Number 40. Final Reflections. Living as the designer of your mind. We have arrived at the final reflection in our journey through the intricate and powerful architecture of the subconscious mind. We have explored its foundations, laid in the open receptivity of childhood. We have understood its mechanisms, the loops of repetition and emotion that write its code. We have uncovered the golden opportunity that sleep provides, the nightly gateway to this inner world. And we have equipped ourselves with a toolkit of gentle, powerful techniques, affirmation, visualization, identity shifting, and more, to become the conscious programmers of our own inner reality. Now, as we stand at the culmination of this exploration, we are left with a final empowering truth. You are not a passive victim of your programming. You are, and have always been, its potential designer. Living as the designer of your mind is a profound shift in perspective. It is the movement from a life of unconscious reaction to a life of conscious creation. It is the understanding that your thoughts, your beliefs, and your emotions are not fixed, immutable parts of who you are, but are malleable patterns of energy and information that can be reshaped and redirected. This does not mean that the process is always easy, or that old patterns will ever resurface. It means that you now possess the awareness and the tools to work with these patterns with compassion, wisdom, and intention. You're no longer navigating the ocean of your life at the mercy of hidden, unconscious currents. You have learned how to step onto the bridge, to read the maps, and to gently but firmly guide the ship toward your chosen destination. This journey does not end here. The work of self-creation is not a one-time event, but a lifelong, ongoing practice. It is a daily commitment to mindfulness, a nightly commitment to intention, and a moment-to-moment commitment to self-compassion. It is about building a new relationship with yourself, one based on collaboration rather than conflict, on encouragement rather than criticism. It is about treating your subconscious mind not as a mysterious and unruly beast, but a powerful, loyal, and deeply intelligent partner that is always working to carry out the instructions it has been given. Your task as the conscious designer is to provide it with the best, most empowering, and most beautiful blueprints possible. As you prepare now to drift into a deep and restorative sleep, carry this final understanding with you. You hold within you the power to shape your inner world, and by shaping your inner world, you inevitably shape your experience of the outer world. The architecture of your subconscious mind is not set in stone. It is a living, breathing structure, and you are its architect. Let this knowledge fill you with a sense of profound peace, empowerment, and quiet excitement. The tools are yours. The potential is limitless. And every night, as you close your eyes, you are given a fresh canvas, a sacred opportunity to continue the beautiful and rewarding work of designing the masterpiece that is you.